is consisting of hiring, socializing, developing, and retaining the employees, and the attracting of highly skilled individuals. The other definition, the second definitions, which is part of the Lockwood 2006 article, and he said that talent management is the implementation of integrated strategies or system designed to increase workforce productivity by developing improved processes. Uh, Processes of what? Processes of attracting, developing, retaining, and utilizing people with the required skills and aptitude to meet current and future business needs. In simple words, Lockwood 2006 described talent management as a also as a process of attracting, developing, retaining, utilizing people with required skills and aptitude to current and future to meet current and future business needs. Uh, the other definition, the third definition, or which is related to the talent management, that is taken from the Larry Donovan 2010, and he called to action for a more consultative, knowledge-based role of human resource in overall business management. And he said that talent management is a technological perspective provides which provides companies the opportunity to collect and leverage rich data about people to respond to business needs. Its main talent management is a technological perspective to meet the business needs. And the fourth perspective in understanding the talent management, we can say that from an information system perspective, talent management is the door which has been opened to utilize technology to manage the employee life cycle. And this life cycle is simply from recruitment to retirement. This life cycle of employees start from recruitment and end on retirement. Okay, these are certain definitions, and from here we can say that talent management is simply the management of the employee life cycle. So these are different perspective on the description of the talent management, and now we comes to the importance of talent management. Why we are studying talent management, and why the companies are going to practice this talent management practices. So, in order to understand the importance of this talent management, the Society for Human Resource Management has conducted a survey of 449 human resource professionals who responded to questions asking them to describe how what is the top challenge that our organization and the HR professional will face. This question was asked from the 449 human resource professionals, and from them 72% were from US and 28% from other multinational organizations. And the results of this survey are shown here. And you can observe here that 47% of respondents respond that the emerging trend or the future trend would be the obtaining human capital and optimizing on human capital investment. From almost half of the respondents think that human capital and optimizing on human capital investment would be the future trend, while the 29% of the respondents said that the obtaining financial capital and optimizing capital investment would be the future trend, while the 12% answered that obtaining intellectual capital and optimizing intellectual capital investment. तो आप अगर गौर करें तो जो सबसे ज्यादा मतलब 47% respondents responded on the importance of obtaining human capital and optimizing capital, while other 12% also uh, focus on the obtaining intellectual capital. So we can say that the important part of human resource would be in the future related to the obtaining human capital or obtaining intellectual capital. So we can say that capital management is important because the all the experts of human resource are saying that capital management and the optimization of this capital investment is would be the future of the organization. Now, coming to the next topic that is related to the talent management life cycle. And as I have told you people that the talent management life cycle starts from recruitment and end at retirement. Okay. uh, uh, all the processes in between these two things are the phases of the employee talent management life cycle. And while we're discussing the talent management life cycle, we can say that these are this figure 9.1. This figure 9.1 describe the talent management processes related to the talent management life cycle. And this is the life cycle, or these are the phases of talent management life cycle. First one is compensation management, second one is performance management, third one is learning management, fourth one is recruiting management, succession planning, career development, workforce planning. These are the phases of talent management life cycle. So, in simple words, when we are attracting any talented employee, we go through all these phases. And how we will know who are the talented employee? So we should go for or we should search for certain attributes for the talent. So, in search of the talented implies, we have to search for some common attributes of the talented individuals. And here, the author of this book identify these 4 to 5 attributes which should be in any employee to compete in the market. The first attribute is ability to communicate. And I have many times told you people that the communication and presentation, this is the primary tool to excel in the market. And when we talk about any managerial position, you have to build your any employee having better communication skills would be treated as the talented individual. The second thing, or the second common attribute of talented individual, is drive. This drive is related to the motivation. It's mean that employee has a drive or the stimulus in his inner states, so that he can be motivated to do his work. So motivation plays a big role in determining who succeed in any venture in life. So the people who are self motivated, are who the people who have internal stimulus towards any work, would be the talented individuals in that market. The third common attribute of any talented individual is related to the ability and willingness to listen to the ideas of others. Students, are you listening me?
Yes, sir.
And are you understanding the concepts which I'm going to describe you people?
Yes, sir.
This ability to listen is also a common attribute of talented individuals. If you are having the ability to listen to the ideas of other, then you are a talented individual. So try to build the ability and willingness to listen to the ideas of others. The fourth common attribute of talented individual is problem solving. If you are assigned many tasks in business and you have the ability to solve these tasks, then you are a talented employee. If you are familiar with the certain problem solving techniques, and you have the ability to understand the problem solving techniques, then you are a talented employee. The fourth component related to the attention. basically the closest version of the word. If you want to be a talented employee, or if you want to attract any talented individual, you have to identify certain abilities of that individual, and in search of that individual you have to look for these five common attributes in that individual which you are going to select, or you are going to attract, or you are going to retain. So when we talk about the talent management, and the important thing related to the talent management is related to the job analysis. Are you going to attract any talented employee, or you are going to retain any talented employee, or you are going to promote any talented employee? You have to know the job description, or the characteristics of that job, and you have to know the current position of your human resource. In order to do this, you have to know the job analysis and human resource planning. So first of all, we will discuss how job analysis is playing role in talent management. So when you are going to attract any employee, the aim of an effective human resource program, human resource planning program, is to have the best available people working in the proper jobs at the appropriate time, so that the individual organization maximize its productive capacity. मतलब अगर आप तो देखें ना कि आपके एम्प्लॉयज की जो एबिलिटीज हैं, आर दे मैचिंग विद द जॉब ही इज डूइंग, तो फिर ही वो मतलब बेटर परफॉर्म कर पाएगा। और अगर आपको एम्प्लॉय की करेक्टरिस्टिक्स का पता है लेकिन जॉब की करेक्टरिस्टिक्स का पता नहीं है, तो फिर आप किस तरह से एक बेस्ट सूटेबल पर्सन को अपॉइंट करेंगे? फॉर दिस रीजन यू हैव टू एनालाइज द जॉब, you have to develop the job descriptions, you have to know the job characteristics. So in order to this, you have to analyze the tasks, analyze the duties of that job, so that you can appoint a best suitable employee in for that position. So do job analysis. Then if you are going to retain any human resource, any talented employee, and before this you have to go for the human resource planning. And this human resource planning is another name which is known as a workforce planning. And these two terms, workforce planning and human resource plannings, are basically the synonymous, and which are used interchangeably. In human resource planning, basically the three factors which are related to the employee organization implies, there are three factors which should be considered in human resource planning. And from them, one is number of employees needed for growth or decline. If your company is going to grow, or your company is going decline, then how much employee you are going to retain. This part is related to the number of employee needed. The second thing, yeah, our second factor, that is required competencies and behavior of those employees. And the third factor, that is required level of productivity expected from these employees. So if you are going to retain, or you are going to select any uh, talented employee, you have to go for the human resource planning. And in doing the human resource planning, you have to keep in mind these three factors. So mm, These are the things which are done in industry. Human resource objectives. For these setting human resource planning objectives, what should you do? You have to estimate the supply, and in estimating the supply, you have to consider the both sources, internal as well as the external sources for the data of employees. Then you have to take the data of implied turnover by jobs and the strategic future or business plan of the organization, and from this you can estimate demands. So this part is related to the future demands, and this part is related to the future supply. So these demand and supply would provide the basic for setting the human resource planning objectives. And when you are done with the human resource planning objectives, you identify the gap between supply and demand. Okay, when you have identified the gap, then you are going to planning human resource programs, and then you have to implement those programs, and after that you have to evaluate those programs, and after the evaluation you have to give feedback towards human resource objectives or human resource demands. So these are the human resource planning process phases, and these are three phases, and every phase have certain other processes. So if we are discussing phase number one, this phase have these five processes, and if you want to see the details of these processes, the detail is given below. For example, first of all, you have to estimate the labor demand. For example, phase number one was related to the human resource planning objectives, and in setting the human resource planning objective, you have to estimate the labor demand. Okay. After that, in estimating the labor supply, I have already mentioned that if you labor, you have to look at first of all at external sources, and these external sources can be companies' geographic labor market, or national labor department data, or local unemployment agencies, or employee referral agencies. These are certain. There are certain organizations which are providing the implies to the organization. These are the external sources of data regarding the supply of the human resource, while the second source of data for supply estimate is internal sources. And these internal sources include historic movement of employee, number of promotions, lateral transfers of employees, and so on. In phase two, which is related to the planning HR programs, I have already told you people that you have to calculate the gap between the estimated demand and supply, and after that you identify the uh, evaluation and control. This is related to the phase number three, and when you evaluate your planning human resource planning process, then you have to give the feedback toward human resource planning objectives. These were the human resource planning process. This process has three phases, and each phase has certain processes. For example, phase one has one, two, three, four, five processes. Basically, phase one has three processes. First one, estimating supply and estimating demand, and the third one is setting human resource planning objectives. And the estimating demand has these two further processes, which is implied turnover or strategic future business plans. In this way, you have to learn the human resource planning process by learning this diagram, which is adapted from the DIRE 1982. Okay. uh, Now, how you can human resource planning can be done with human resource information system, and for this purpose you can go for certain websites in human resource planning. Now, what are long-term and short-term strategic importance of talent management? Okay, when we talk about the short-term short-term importance, that is related to the tactical strategy of the organization. And when we talk about the long term talent management, that is related to the strategy of the firm. And in long term, organization need to invest in to invest now in employee talent to sustain a competitive advantage over time. Companies retain their employee to gain or sustain their competitive advantage. And when we talk about the short term or tactical strategy, that is halted, and the long term investment in talented employees, the management strategy returns. In simple words, when we are going to discuss the long term and short term strategic importance of talent management, short term importance is that the talented employees will provide a better performance, and in long run these talented employees will provide competitive advantage to the firm. Okay, now how talent management is related to the corporate strategy, because when we are going to plan for recruit strategy, and our talent acquiring strategy would be related to the corporate strategy. If your company is going to adopt the innovation strategy, then you should go for the employees having the technical skills related, who can bring innovation in your organization. So talent management is directly related to the corporate strategy. The other thing which is important in talent management, and this is related to the anticipating change and creating an adaptable workforce. It's mean, first of all, if we discuss the concept of change, change is basically transition from your status quo. If any organization can predict or can forecast the change which is going to be occur in the near future or in far future, in the and they then they should create a workforce which can adapt that change. And in technological firms, you have seen that there are certain there are there is rapidly changing environment, and they have to create a more adaptable workforce. So here are certain key capabilities which are found to influence workforce ability to adapt change, and these key capabilities are the three. And first, organization must capable of predicting their future skills requirements. And the second, they need to effectively identify and locate experts. And the third one, they should be able to collaborate across their organizations. If any organization has these three characteristics, then they can develop a workforce which can cope with the change. Okay, now comes to the corporate culture. How this corporate culture is related to the organization talent management program. And you have studied culture in many subjects and in many perspective. And if you look at this diagram, you can identify different cultural perspectives which can play a role in our uh, in imply attraction, retention, and low priority. For example, inability to rapidly develop skills to address current or future business needs. Okay, then this factor is playing 52% role in employee retention or in employee attraction. Lack of leadership capability. This factor is 36% playing role in talent management. And inability to lead and these factors are this percentage to playing the role in talent management. So this is an interesting phenomena, and this phenomena is based on the values that corporate culture is basically a part of social networking and the creation of According to Sheen, 1985, he defined corporate culture as involving an understanding of what constitutes correct attitude and perceptions, one that is shared by coworkers. There is another definition, and which is the culture is a pattern of basic assumptions invented, discovered, or developed by firm members to cope with problems of external adaptation and internal integration that has worked well enough to be considered valid and therefore to be taught to new members as the correct way to perceive, think, and feel in a relation to those problems. In simple words, when we talk about the corporate culture, according to the Geert Hofstede, this is the collective programming of the minds of the people. According to some other authors, the definition of corporate culture is this is the shared norm, values, tradition, custom, habits, and traditions of the workers of the organization to cope with the organizational problems. So when we talk about the talent management, then your culture should also be according to that. For example, if your organization having all मतलब आपकी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में सभी नलायक हो ना, और एक आप टैलेंटेड एम्प्लॉय सेलेक्ट कर लें, तो वो क्या होगा कि वो आपके कल्चर में फिट नहीं आएगा, या वो ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में फिट नहीं आएगा। तो इट्स मीन कि आपको क्या करना चाहिए कि आपको अपना कल्चर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के करने चाहिए। Okay, now what is the link between talent management and human resource information system? How talent management and human resource information system is linked? This is very important part of this chapter, and we can say that when organizations measure the return on investment for human capital, and they have identified that the HR balance card to justify its acquisition and use. Talent management is just one of many components involving the investment in human capital. And human resource information system is also an important to ensure that the human resource programs of attracting, hiring, educating, nurturing implies are executed well and consistently over time, because this heart of talent management program. In simple words, if I describe the relation of human resource information system and the talent management, we can say that human resource information system can play a better role in attracting, hiring, educating, and nurturing the talented employees and consistently over time, because it is the core of the HRIS. Uh, through HRIS, we can we can the number of talented individual hired can be known through HRIS. The training of these talented individuals can be traced from the HRIS, and the job performance of those individuals can be traced from HRIS, and the retention of these individuals can be performed through the HRIS. So we can say that the talent management program incorporated with HRIS can be a success of the organization. So the other thing which is important for this chapter is, and this is related to the talent management software packages. There are certain packages. For example, I have told you that SAP is very important. There are other Oracle, Cornerstone, On Demand. These are certain softwares which can perform talent management processes effectively and efficiently. So there are certain examples of these softwares. And now comes to the trends in talent management softwares. And when we talk about the trends, then we are facing, according to core, it is key to understanding the ways in which a prospective candidate interact during the acquisition process. For example, mobile devices such as tablets, these are coming trends. Mobile devices, tablets, and phones, these are the new trends for the talent management softwares. And the other trend is big data, advertising remotely. All these are the challenges or the trends which are going to be in talent management. This was basically related to the things which are mm, now comes to the recruiting top talented employees using social networking sites. Most of the organization nowadays finding the talented employees through social networks, because this method of attracting the talented employees is very cheap or very cost saving. So companies are using these social networking sites, and from these websites, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter are important. And many organizations are posting their jobs on these websites, and from these they are going to attract the individuals. But before going for social networking sites, you have to consider some questions which are related to these sites. uh, for example, number one, does the website make it difficult to find a link to career paths? Does the link use the word careers or the phrase job opportunities, or these type of blogs or these type of groups are existing on that site? Are there implied testimonial videos or videos for senior level executive discussing the company culture and mission? For example, it is easy to use the search engine to find specific jobs. Is there any search engine in that website? Are there too many steps for an applicant trying to submit a resume? और मतलब उस साइट पे क्या लोग रिज्यूमे सबमिट कर सकते हैं या अप्लाई कर सकते हैं फॉर एनी जॉब? एंड व्हाट इज द प्रोसेस टू कांटेक्ट द एप्लीकेंट आफ्टर ही और शी हैज अप्लाइड फॉर द जॉब? कि उसको प्रोसेस टू कांटेक्ट करना क्या है, ठीक है? इज देयर एनी फॉलो अप कांटेक्ट ओवर ए टाइम पीरियड? तो मैं आपको बताऊं कि इन सब क्वेश्चंस के आंसर में एक बेस्ट वेबसाइट जो है वो आपकी लिंक्डइन है. This is the website which are providing very useful tool in acquiring talented employees. So if you are a human resource manager in any organization, you can use this LinkedIn website to acquire the talented employees. एंड इवन मैं आपको मशवरा दूंगा कि आप एज ए स्टूडेंट भी, आप भी टैलेंटेड हो तो कोई और ऑर्गेनाइजेशन अपने टैलेंट मैनेजमेंट प्रोग्राम में आपको हायर करना चाहेगी, तो आपको चाहिए कि आप अपनी प्रोफाइल लिंक्डइन पे क्रिएट करें, और उससे आप अपनी क्या करें कि अपनी प्रोफाइल क्रिएट करें और वहां पे डिफरेंट जॉब सर्चेस करके वहां पे जॉब्स पे अप्लाई करें. ठीक है जी. व्हाट इज दिस एनालिटिक्स? देखिए, in simple words, analytics is an interesting area with information system, and this analytic is related to the analysis of the data. Analytics mean analyzing the data rigorously, or analyzing the data with certain tools or certain procedures or certain techniques. So when we talk about the human resource data, then analyzing the human resource data is known as the human resource analytics, or this is known as the workforce analytics. And this is related to the business intelligent uh, business intelligence. This concept is related to the business intelligence. So in today's environment, which is the era of big data, analyzing the human resource data is a new challenge for the human resource manager. So as a talent management program, they have to analyze the data of talented employees, and for this purpose some companies are maintaining employee data warehouse, and some websites are maintaining data warehouse, and from these warehouses you can access different talented employees. So I think these were the main topics of this chapter, and now I expect that you have understand the main theme of the chapter, and now you are able to understand, read or comprehend this chapter. जी, what you say, बच्चों? सो गए हो सारे? तो कहता है यस सर। अच्छा, मैंने पूछा सो गए हो, कहता है यस सर।
सर ने कहा सो गए हो, आपने बोला यस सर।
शाजिब, आप किधर गायब हो गए थे जब मैंने आपको वो शुरू वाली केस स्टडी? हम्म, अच्छा चलिए। अच्छा, तो अब आपको इस चैप्टर की बेसिक चीजों का पता चल गया कि ये इनको देखिए, मैं आपको बताऊं, इस बुक को पढ़ने का एक तरीका होता है ना, चीजों को समझने का एक तरीका होता है। और इस बुक का पढ़ने का तरीका ये है कि इस चैप्टर में कौन से टॉपिक हैं, दीज कैन बी जज्ड फ्रॉम चैप्टर ऑब्जेक्टिव्स। ठीक है, ये मैं आपको शेयर करता हूँ। तो आप देखें कि आप सबसे पहले किसी भी चैप्टर को पढ़ने से पहले ना, आपने जाके देखना है कि इस चैप्टर के अंदर आपके कितने टॉपिक्स हैं जो कि आपने पढ़ने हैं। ठीक है, तो आप उसमें सबसे पहले क्या करें कि आप देखें कि जो आपका उसके चैप्टर ऑब्जेक्टिव्स में कौन से टॉपिक्स हैं। फॉर एग्जांपल, अभी आप टैलेंट मैनेजमेंट वाला चैप्टर पढ़ रहे हो ना, तो इस चैप्टर के अंदर ये टॉपिक्स आपने पढ़ने हैं। तो इन टॉपिक्स के लिए आपने आगे अपने चैप्टर में सर्च करनी है चीजों की। ठीक है, तो आप अपने चाहे नोट्स बनाएं, ये इस चैप्टर को पढ़ने के लिए आप इसको खोलें और साथ अपनी इसकी आउटलाइन बनाते जाएं। तो आप देखें कि ये जो ऑब्जेक्टिव्स हैं, क्या इनके अकॉर्डिंगली आपकी आउटलाइन बनी है, क्या ये टॉपिक्स आपके कवर हो गए। तो इस तरह से आपने इन चैप्टर्स को पढ़ना है। ठीक है, अच्छा, तो ये यहाँ तक अब आपका वो प्रोजेक्ट भी शामिल है कि टैलेंट मैनेजमेंट तक आपने ये जो प्रोसेसेस हैं ये इसमें आपने ऐड करने हैं। ठीक है जी, तो अब आप इस चैप्टर को पढ़ें और वो अपनी असाइनमेंट करें, और फिर इंशाल्लाह एक क्लास में भी आप लोगों की जो है ना वो रखता हूँ जल्द ही, वो वाली क्या कहते हैं उसे, मेकअप क्लास एक रखता हूँ। ठीक है, उसमें फिर मैं आपको अगला रिक्रूटमेंट एंड सिलेक्शन वाला चैप्टर पढ़ाऊंगा। तो ये आप उसमें ये ऐड कर लें। ठीक है, मनाहिल बच्चे आप, ये मनाहिल किधर है? मनाहिल, आप बोल ही नहीं रहे, कोई आपकी कंट्रीब्यूशन ही नहीं है
जी
क्लास
सर।
में। अब बोलिए,
जी
तो पहले किधर थी
जी
आप?
सर। सर मैं सुन रही थी पहले, वो जब आपने पढ़ने को कहा था ना तो मुझे समझ नहीं आ रहा था, तो फिर इस वजह से मैंने जवाब नहीं
और आकिब, आपको क्या हुआ? वो तो खैर ड्राइविंग कर रहा है, ये पता नहीं कोई ऐसे कामों में लगा हुआ है। चलें जी, थैंक यू सो मच। इंशाल्लाह फिर मुलाकात होती है। और अब आप ये साथ साथ फाइनल टर्म की भी तैयारी करें, और ये असाइनमेंट भी और प्रोजेक्ट भी। ठीक है जी।
ठीक
अच्छा,
है सर।
एक बात ध्यान में रखें कि प्रोजेक्ट की एसेंशियल रिक्वायरमेंट ये है कि आपने मुझे एमएस एक्सेस में उसे प्रेजेंट करना है। आपने मुझे उसका मतलब एक तो रिपोर्ट आप दोगे ना प्रोजेक्ट की, लेकिन आपने वो जो आपने HRIS डेवलप की है, फॉर एग्जांपल कोहिनूर मिल का, तो आपने वो मुझे एक दफा रन करके दिखाना है। उसमें कुछ सैंपल के तौर पे 2-4 एंट्रीज आप डाल देना, और मुझे उसकी सारे टेबल्स और सारी क्यूरीज रिपोर्ट्स वगैरह जनरेट करके दिखानी है एमएस एक्सेस में। ठीक है बच्चों,
ठीक है सर।
चले, थैंक यू सो मच।
थैंक यू सर। ओके, अल्लाह हाफिज।